Hello guys, how are you? So today we are going to look at our second topic, which is effective managerial decisions. Effective managerial decisions. Okay, so we all know that if you are a manager or just an ordinary employee, you work with some limitations, some constraints, either related to knowledge, it can be time or resources. So now, as a manager, if you are working under these conditions, you need to come up with decisions for various situations. Okay, so decision making is very important to organization. It's central to organizational operations, right? It is decision making that we use, okay, to evaluate the effectiveness of um, managers or the effectiveness of management, right? So we look at the quality of the decisions that are taken by a manager, and then we'll be able to say uh, this is a good manager, right? Based on the decisions that they take. Okay. So it is the action or process of selecting a course of action from those that are available. You have a lot of alternatives or options. And then as a manager, you have to select the best option from those that you have at your hand. Okay. And then if you are able to select the best, then we say you are a good manager. As an operations manager, you have to make operational decisions, deciding where to locate manufacturing plants or new production processes so that the business will be able to increase production. If you don't take the right decisions, right, we are going to see operational costs increasing. And sometimes the quality of the product will be affected. But if you make a good decision, the cost of operation are going to reduce. Quality is going to improve, right? Also, managers, they can choose, for example, advertising channels, such as using traditional media, using the digital marketing. It's a decision that is to be made by managers. If they see that their target market is the youth, then they have to go digital. Okay. In South Africa, I think some years ago, not long ago, I think 2023 and also 2029, 2019, we had some product recalls, if you remember. That's crisis product recalls where we had products from Enterprise Foods and Rainbow Chicken, such as the Poloni, we had the Viennas, the Russians, they were recalled, right? So a manager has to make crisis management decisions in those instances, right? If they don't take the right decision, it's going to affect the business. We're going to have lawsuits from customers who could have some damages maybe from the products that they could have consumed, because these products they um, they were affected by listeriosis. I think yes, listeriosis. So to avoid customers who is not on mute, let's all ensure that we are on mute. So to avoid damages to customers, the products were recalled. It's a decision that you have to make as a manager, recalling the product. Okay. And I also remember there was a time when I walked into a spa. I was looking for eggs. There were no eggs from the shelves, right? They were also removed eggs from the shelves. I think this was 2023 or so. I'm not 2023. Yes, they were removed from the shelves. Why? Because of a bacteria that had affected the eggs. So to ensure food safety and prevent outbreaks, the managers decided to remove the eggs from the shelf. A decision that managers have to make under crisis. If they don't do that, they will suffer the consequences. Litigation, penalties even from the health and safety authorities. So it's very important for the managers to make decisions that are right for the business. Okay. And then managerial decision making, we are now talking of managers. They identify problems or opportunities. They gather and analyze information. They generate and evaluate options. And then from that evaluation of options, they choose the best option for the business, for their department. So the manager now will be given multiple options to choose from. Now they have to see whether they will be able to, they have the resources to carry out each option. They have the time, they have the information. So the option that they choose must be in line with the organizational resources, must be in line with the time that they have on their hand. Okay, so they should always choose the best option for the business organization. Okay, right? We have this area. They usually like to examine this area, right? 10 critical and strategic decision areas of operations management, right? There was a question in a certain exam paper and also assignment papers, which was from this, the 10 critical and strategic decision areas of operations management, right? So the first area um, is the design of goods and services. So under the design of goods and services, we are saying the creation of products and services to meet the customer needs, to address the customer preferences, right? Refining the products that are already there, the services that are already being delivered to customers to ensure that they are in line with the changing preferences of the consumers. If you don't do that as a manager, then customers are going to move away. They're not going to buy your products. They're not going to use your services. So creating new ones and refining the ones that are already there. So we're talking of the product features, right? We're talking of the standards of designing the product and also involving technology or innovation in these goods and services. That's why we always have, if there are products, you always have changes to your product, upgrades of product. You can talk of phones, laptops, right? The phones that we had last year, some of them they're outdated. We had new phones this year. Okay, so that's moving with time, in line with the preferences of the consumers. Otherwise, the business will be outcompeted by other businesses. And then we have managing quality. right? We're talking of ensuring that the products and services that the business is providing, they meet the quality standards of the business, right? So there is supposed to be quality assurance processes. There is supposed to be quality control system within those products and services, and continuous improvement of the product or services. There was an article that I saw. It wasn't an article, but it was there were customers that were complaining on Facebook. They were talking about a meat that they were buying from a certain retailer. I'm not going to mention the name, but they were saying the meat was of poor quality, right? So if that word is spread, it's going to damage the reputation of the business. So that retailer, for example, will ensure that the meat that it is providing to consumers is of high quality, fresh meat, high quality meat. And then in those instances, going to retain its customers. And then we have process and capacity design, right? So under process in capacity design, we're determining the ideal processes and the resources that are required to produce the goods, to deliver the services, right? So the business is going to design how the production of goods is going to take place. The business is going to design the workflows for the services, right? Also, select the machinery and equipment that is going to be used to produce the goods to deliver the services and ensure that it is able to meet the demand from the consumers. And then we have location strategy, right? Choosing the best location for operations of the business. The facilities, where are they going to be located? So it's very important that the business locates either closer to raw materials or closer to the customers. Why? To reduce transport costs. If the business doesn't do that, then transportation costs are going to increase, which will increase, which will have a negative impact on profitability. Also, the facilities have to be located in an area where there is skilled labor, those who are going to work in the factory. That's a location strategy, right? Decisions that have to be made by managers. And then we have layout strategy is the next one. We're talking of the physical arrangement of resources within the facilities or within the factories of the business. So there is need for ensuring that the workflow, the way work is going to flow, is simplified, and also ensuring that there is maximum utilization of the space that is within those facilities or factories to reduce costs of operation. And then we have human resources and job design. When we're talking of human resources, we know we're talking of the labor, job design, their work. So we're talking of the recruitment, the training, and managing of the employees who will be working in the facilities, in the factories, or in offices of the business. Also designing the jobs, designing the work that is going to be done by these employees to improve what they are going to produce. Okay. And then we have supply chain management, which is managing and coordinating activities which are in the supply chain of the business organization, from the purchasing of raw materials from suppliers up to the time the final product is delivered, or the finished product is delivered to the consumers. That's supply chain management. And inventory management, maintaining maybe the required levels of inventory, the ideal levels of inventory. Why? To balance supply and demand, right? So the business should ensure that it is not overstocking inventory or understocking inventory. If it overstocks inventory, then you end up maybe having some wastages and so on, right? And then if it understock, we're going to have a situation where the business is going to lose on sales, because sometimes customers might come looking for products, and then the products will not be there. So the business has to maintain ideal levels, the right levels that will balance with the demand of the products. Okay, and then we have scheduling, planning, and controlling of production, planning and controlling of service activities, to ensure that these, if goods are being produced, they have to be completed within time. You don't just produce without a timeline. There is a timeline that should be there. So that's scheduling, creating the schedules for resources, creating the schedules for employees. Okay, these products, you have to produce them within 3 days. The schedule that has been created for employees, so that the business will be able to meet demand. And then the last one, which is number 10, is maintenance. Employees, we know we work with machinery, we work with equipment. These have to be maintained. They have to be serviced, right? They have to be repaired if they are defective. That's maintenance. So this ensures that the machinery, the systems remain operational, to avoid a situation where there will be disruptions operations. Disruption to operations will cost the business. So maintenance will ensure that machinery keeps running. Equipment is always operational, right? If there are vehicles, they have to be serviced to avoid breakdowns. That's maintenance. So these are the 10 critical and strategic decision areas of operations management that you have to know. Like I said, this area, they like to examine this area. Okay. Any questions here on these 10 areas before we move forward? Any question here? Right. The next section here is the 3 types of managerial decisions. The 3 types of managerial decisions. So managers, they make decisions at 3 levels. That's long-term or strategic decisions. And then we have administrative decisions, medium term. And then we have the operational decisions, which are short term. Okay, these are the 3 areas managers will make decisions. Right, so let's look at the first one, which is managerial strategic decisions or long-term decisions. Decisions that are based on the long-term goals or objectives of the organization. We're talking of those that are based on the mission, the vision of the organization. Those are the strategic decisions, right? Example here of these types of decisions, we have product or service strategic decisions, right? These ones you can say they involve a situation where managers determine the types of products or services that are going to be offered by the company, right? And they also determine the design, the features, quality of these products. It's a strategic decision. If you look at cell phones, for example, iPhone, you can differentiate it from other products based on its quality, the features, its designing. It's a product or service strategic decisions that was in place, that was in play when the iPhones were being designed there or produced. Okay. And then we have process strategic decisions. That's number two there, right? So this one, we can say they focus on how goods and services are produced and delivered. How the how part does the process, right? So under the process is the business or the managers are going to choose the technology that they're going to use. They're going to choose the production method that they will use. All those are process strategic decisions. Which is a car manufacturer such as Toyota, we have Nissan, we have Hyundai, right? They can decide to implement automated assembly lines, for example, to increase their production, to reduce labor costs. That they have made under process strategic decision. Number three, we have research and development. The business is going to allocate resources, is going to allocate funds, where to develop new products, right? Developing new products or maybe improve those products that the business already has.
Sorry to interrupt. You're breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure if it's my side or if it's your side.
Why? To remain competitive.
Hi,
Okay, am I audible now?
that's a bit better.
Okay, all right, thank you. If I'm breaking, guys, you have to
Hi,
say
it's
so.
breaking on the lecturer's side because it's on my side as well.
Okay, let me continue and then if it keeps breaking, tell me. Okay. So we were on research and development strategic decision. And then the next one, location strategic decisions. We talked about location here, right? The decisions about selecting the best locations for the facilities of a business, for the factories of a business. Okay, we talked about this one. And then we have inventory management. We talked about inventory management earlier on, if you still remember, right? Decisions about how much inventory to hold, the ideal levels to hold or at the business warehouse, right? To balance demand and supply. In human resource planning and management, we also talked about this, all these um, strategic decisions that are made by managers, the long-term decisions. Okay. And then the next level, we said long-term, that's the first one, which is strategic. The next level is right managerial administrative decisions. Right. So these ones, they are concerned with structuring the resources of an organization is going to be created, right? So these are medium term. So we have two types of administrative decisions. The first type is the programmed. There was a question also which asked about these two types of administrative decisions, the programmed and the non-programmed. So the programmed decisions, they are repetitive in nature. We're talking of the routine decisions. They follow established rules or they follow established processes or procedures. Those are the programmed decisions. They are straightforward. They are predictable. That's something that is programmed. For example, we can have a factory ABC, which schedules a regular maintenance for its machines. That for every 6 weeks, for example, or for every 3 months, or for every um, 6 months. It depends on which time the business wants the repairs to be done. So for that period, there's going to be maintenance of the machines. Even after a month, machines are supposed to be serviced or maintained. That's a programmed decision. So you know that after every month or after every 3 months, after every 4 months, there's going to be the servicing of machines. That's programmed decision. Then second one is non-programmed decisions. These ones we're talking of the complex decisions. They don't follow a repetitive procedure, for example. There are no established rules. And they require managers to use creative means to deal with them, to deal with the problems that might be there, right? For example, a company that is deciding to respond to an increase in disruptions in its supply chain. There's some disruptions, they are increasing, and they are coming from maybe natural disasters. It will be difficult for the business to come up with the decisions because it's a natural disaster that is causing an increase in the disruptions.
Sorry,
So the business
you,
is to come up with non-programmed decisions. Sorry?
you're still breaking up a bit, hey?
Still breaking up. Oh,
Yes.
okay. Let me see. But my connection here is stable. I don't know what's happening. Everything from my side seems to be okay. Okay, let me just give me 1 second. Let me try to do something and see where the problem is coming from. Mhm. Okay, let me continue and then see how it is going now. Okay, so from the managerial administrative decisions, we have the third, which is the managerial operational decisions or the short-term decisions. Okay, so these ones now, they relate to the daily operations of an organization, the activities that are carried on a daily basis by a business organization. So decisions that are made there Those are the managerial operational decisions. We have 5 types of operational decisions under this level, which are quality decisions. For example, we talked about quality, ensuring that the products that are being produced are of high quality. The services that are being delivered are of high quality, so that the business does not lose the customers as a result of poor quality. And then we have process decisions, the processes that are used to produce goods, to deliver the services, must ensure that they are producing good quality product, coming up with advanced processes, integrating technology into those processes, produce to deliver what consumers or customers want, right? And then we have capacity decisions, right? That the business has have the means to produce the product, to meet the demand that is coming from the customers, the resources that are required. Managers have to make decisions. And then the next one, we have inventory decisions. We talked about this, how much inventory to hold in the business, to hold ideal levels of inventory, not overstocking or understocking. And then human resource decisions. Those that deal with the employees, their work. Right. So these are the 3 areas where managers are going to make decisions: strategic and the short term. Okay. Questions here? Any questions? Okay. I see here. Guys, am I audible? Do you get me?
Yes, you are audible. We get you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Right. The next area, also on this one, there was a question in a certain paper that was asking about the steps in the managerial decision-making process. So when managers are making decisions, they don't just make decisions. There is a process that they follow to make those decisions. That's the decision-making process, right? So what are the tips of the managerial decision-making process? Number one, identify and delineate problem. So you as a manager, you have to recognize and define the problem or the issue that needs to be addressed. So if you are an operations manager, right, you can notice that there's an increase in production delays. And then you have to identify what is causing production delays. Maybe it's uh, poor performance of machines. That's the problem that you have identified. Okay, that's step number one. Number two, establish decision priorities and goals. You have to set priorities. You have to define the objectives that the decision should achieve to resolve the problem that has been identified in step number one. So, for example, if they are the manager in the operations department, you can set priorities to reduce production delays, maybe by 50% or by 80% or 100%, ensuring that in the next period or whatever, there are no production delays at all. Or if they are there, maybe that's a few of those. That's step number two. Step number three, ascertain the cause of the problem. Ascertain the cause of the problem. Investigate, determine the underlying causes of the identified problem. That's step number three. For example, the poor performance of the machine that we've identified there as the problem. What is causing that? Maybe it's outdated machinery that is being used by the business organization, or maybe lack of frequent servicing or maintenance of the machine. That's the underlying what? Cause of the problem. Okay. And then number four, develop realistic alternatives. Develop realistic alternatives. Create solutions or options that are going to address where the problem is coming from. That is the root cause of the problem. So in case of the machinery that we have identified there, that is problem with machinery, right? What are the alternatives that you can come up with? Maybe upgrading the machinery, buying new machinery, advanced machinery, or maybe you're going to implement a more frequent servicing schedule for the machinery. The alternatives that you can come up with. And then number five, choose solution. So from alternatives that you've come up with, evaluate the best, select the best option from those that is going to address the problem completely. That's number five. For your machinery, maybe you are going to choose a grading of the machinery. That will be the best for the business, to use new advanced machinery, and then go with that. And then number six, implement the decision, right? You've chosen the decision in number five. So in number six, you have to implement that decision. Put the chosen solution or option into action and ensure that there are necessary steps in place for the effective implementation of the decision. Okay. And then the last one, number seven, is follow up, right? You have to monitor the results. Okay, you have upgraded the machinery, right? And then you have to follow up to see now that the production is no longer being delayed. So the option that it could have been chosen to address the problem. If it doesn't, then it means there's another problem again. So after 2 months, after 3 months, we have to follow up to see how the chosen solution it's working. Okay, so these are the steps in the managerial decision-making process. Okay, questions here. Okay, let's move forward. Let's move forward. Our next section, managerial decision making in different environments. So the decision making for managers would occur in different environments. The first one is managerial decision making under certain risk or uncertain. So in this environment, the manager who is making the decisions has to consider three major elements when determining whether the decision-making environment is one of certain risk or uncertain. So the first component or element of the specific course of action or maybe policy that is chosen by the person who is making the decisions address the problem that might be there. Okay, that's the decision strategy. And then the second one, we have the states of nature. We're talking of the external conditions or events that are beyond the control of the manager or the decision maker. In these ones, the states of nature or the external conditions, they affect the outcome of the decision. Okay. And then number three, we have the outcome. Outcome, we know we are talking of the result of a decision strategy. Random states of nature. So, and from an outcome, we are going to see the results such as maybe profit that is going to be made by the business, a loss that is going to be made by the business, or performance levels, which are going to come from the option that could have been chosen by the decision maker or the manager. Okay, if I'm no longer audible, you have to say so. Okay, I'm breaking up.
We can still hear you.
But I see others here saying I'm breaking up.
Yeah, it comes and goes, but you're okay for now. By the time
Okay, maybe
they
it's
by the time
maybe it's because
by the time they complain you're breaking up, you're actually back again. So
maybe it's
it's like
because of the
split
rain. Because
seconds.
maybe it's because of the rain. Because it's raining here. Maybe it's affecting my connectivity. I
Maybe
think so.
no,
Maybe.
but otherwise not. It's not too bad. Keep on going, boss.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then where are we? Managerial decision making in a total quality environment. So here in a total quality environment, it involves the elements of a continuous process and it focuses on continuous improvement, right? It focuses on assessment management and teamwork. We know when you talk of continuous improvement, the ongoing effort that is put by the business to improve its products, to improve its services, or the processes that are used to produce good or deliver services. So managers make decisions that support incremental improvements at all levels of the organization. Okay, so that maybe wastage is reduced, production efficiency is improved, which will have a positive impact on profitability. And then we have assessment management, right? What do we mean here? The regular evaluation of processes, regular evaluation of performance, and the outcome to ensure that all these are in line with the quality standard of the business organization. So the managers are going to collect data, are going to analyze the information, right? And use their knowledge to make decisions, to come up with better decisions, but it will be helped by the data that they could have collected and analyzed. And then we have teamwork, right? The cooperation when decisions are being made. So the various departments have to cooperate. Different levels have to cooperate or collaborate and help each other to come up with the good decisions. So when you're talking of a total quality environment, quality is not one person's responsibility. It's seen as everyone's responsibility. Everyone in the business organization should be working towards quality. So managers, what they do, they just foster a culture where the employees are going to come up with ideas on how to improve and maintain quality. Or even if there are problems, how to solve those problems. So if decision making is implemented in a total quality environment, these are the requirements here, making quality improvement a central organizational focus, right? Extensive and continuous employee training. To improve quality, employees have to be trained so that they know how to do their job or carry out their task better. Total employee and management involvement in the decision-making process, in the goal setting of the goal. They must help, even though if the responsibility of coming up with the goals lies with the senior managers, but they can consult the employees. Continuous improvement of organizational processes instead of blaming employees for quality failures. If there is quality failure, the management should not blame the employees, should not rush to blame the employees. They should look at the processes that are being used. Are they up to date? Are they advanced? Maybe they are outdated. And then team decision making and the recognition that the customer defines quality with the goal of meeting or exceeding their satisfaction. If customers are complaining for a certain product, it means this quality is very low or it's poor. And then managers have to improve based on the feedback that comes from. Like I remember last time we looked at the transformation process where feedback comes from the customers. Now, if that feedback is negative, it means the quality of a product or service is poor. Then it has to be improved. And the business has to exceed the employees' satisfaction standards. So the customer satisfaction standards, sorry. Okay. That's managerial decision making in a total quality environment. And then the third part is managerial decision making under perfect conditions. Here we are also going to look at some calculations. Okay. So here we have our design capacity, which is the total achievable capacity under perfect conditions. If it's a perfect condition, it's the most desirable, the most ideal situation or environment for the business to produce goods or deliver services. So what are the factors that affect capacity? We have two types of factors. The first, they are within management's control. The first set of factors, they are within management's control. For example, physical resources, the utilization of labor and personnel issues, technological maximization. All these can be controlled by managers. They affect capacity, the ability of the business to produce goods. Management's control, right? For example, weather events. managers won't be able to control weather events. They affect the business production processes, political issues, the exchange rate. They are external factors which managers will not be able to control, but they must find ways to minimize the effect of these external factors. Okay. And then under this, we are going to look at effectiveness, efficiency, and load of capacities, right? Where we have we do some calculations. So effectiveness and efficiency can be measured using a number of variables, correct? So effective capacity or utility, there was a paper also that was asking calculations for effective capacity or utilization, which is a ratio between the expected capacity of a firm and its design capacity. And what are the factors that affect effective capacity? An organization's product mix, production scheduling, the age of equipment, or maintenance standards. How do we calculate effective capacity or utilization? It is expected capacity divided by design capacity, you multiply by 100, and then you will get effective capacity. Okay. Example here, a television manufacturing company has a design capacity of 50 televisions per hour, right? But due to intensive quality control standards, it normally produces only 40 televisions per hour. Calculate the effective capacity or utilization of television. Remember our formula, expected capacity divided by design capacity, you multiply by 100. So we're going to write as percentage. So expected capacity is 40 televisions, and then the design capacity it's 15. So 40 divided by 50. So the effective capacity of the business is 8%. Okay, simple calculations there. So when you see something like this asking you to calculate effective capacity, just get the formula correct, and then everything else becomes easy. And then capacity efficiency is the ratio of production output to effective capacity. It is a measure of effective management in utilizing effective capacity. What is the formula for capacity efficiency? Actual output divided by effective capacity times 100. That's our formula. Actual output over effective capacity multiplied by 100. Example, a furniture factory has an effective capacity of 200 chairs per day. However, it only produces only 165 chairs per day. Calculate the capacity efficiency of the furniture factory. So capacity efficiency is equal to our actual output, which is 165 chairs, divided by effective capacity, which is 200 chairs, multiplied by 100, we get 82.5%. That's the capacity efficiency of the furniture factory. Okay. And then load of efficiency, the load that an operating process or system need to have can also be measured as part of the capacity measurements. So the load is measured by the backlog that is present in the system, or the amount of work in progress in the system. Those are the ones that measure the load. So the lead time, the formula is used, right? The lead time to service the backlog equal to backlog in the system divided by capacity in the system. Okay. Example, the backlog in a bicycle manufacturing company is 130 units. The capacity of the system is 520 bicycles. Calculate the load of capacity. So is the backlog, which is 130, divided by the capacity, which is 520, we get 0.25 hours. So we write our load of capacity as hours. Okay, we are almost there, right? And then managerial decision making for location analysis. They also like to test this area, especially the next one on the next slide. So deciding upon a location for the organization's manufacturing plant is one of the hardest decisions that can be made by the managers, deciding where to locate the manufacturing plant. Why? Because we have factors such as personal preferences of the owners of the business or managers that are going to affect the decision. Okay, this one is subjective. And we also have costs that are going to be affected by the location decisions. They will also determine whether to locate or not, that locate the manufacturing plant or not in a certain area. We have transportation. If us or suppliers is going to increase transportation costs, then the business can end up not setting its plant in that area. And then we have energy costs, electricity. Electricity in certain areas is very high, the rates compared to other areas, right? Taxation, the wages, the labor that is there, right? Different areas, for example, have got different wage rate and the availability of raw materials. If the raw materials are not there, are far away, it will also affect the decisions to locate in a certain area. So these are some of the areas that affect location. There was also another question that was asking about these areas, the costs that are affected by location decision. Okay, and then lastly, we have steps in the facility location, managerial decision making, define the location goals and associated factors, identify the decision criteria, quantitative, intangible, choose a decision model, such as break-even or factor ratings. We'll look at these when we do revision. Break-even, also look at the factor ratings, select the location that best meets the criteria. And also, there was a question also in a certain assignment paper and exam paper about the locational break-even and profit analysis, right? So locational break-even analysis is just an economic comparison of locational options, right? You are comparing areas, right, based on cost volume examination. You might have 3 areas, and then you use locational break-even, right, and profit analysis. Which area should you locate your facilities in? So what are the steps that are followed here to perform a locational break-even analysis? You follow these steps. Number one, establish the fixed and variable costs for each location. You have to know these. You have 3 locations. What are the fixed costs? What are the variable costs for each location? Step number two, you graph the costs for each location, where costs are on the y-axis and production or sales volume on the x-axis. And then number 3, in or sales volume. Okay, so these are the steps that we use under locational break-even analysis. I do have some revision questions. When you're done with the topic, you're doing revision, we have some questions that to cover this area also, because that you are equipped before you write the exam, because you are going to do some calculations for this area. Today, guys, any questions from what we have covered? Any questions?
Will you be giving us some practical examples of those calculations, except for the exam preparation?
Usually when we are done with these topics, we usually have the topic you're done, and then that is when we cover all these ones when we are preparing for the exam. Because sometimes we have seen that if we do them now, by the time you want to write the exam, and then might have challenges with those. So we usually want to do these towards the exam. Okay. Have I answered you? So when you are done with all the
Yes,
topics,
you gave me an answer, but I don't know if I'm that comfortable by leaving all the calculations of all the units until the exam preparation. I would like to
no, it's only
practice
for these
those
ones.
calculations
Okay.
unit for unit, so that I can know that
Yes.
I understand each one.
Okay, I understand. So for this one, for this topic number 2, the calculations usually are found in the exam papers. If you go even to the start guide, you don't find them. That's why. But for all other topics like topic number 4, productivity calculations, we are going to do the calculations before what? A revision. If you go to topic number 7, forecasting, we're going to do the calculations. And then if we go to topic number 8 also, economic order quantity, we are going to do the calculations before revision. Okay.
Understood. Thanks.
Right. Thank you very much, guys. So that's all for today. Any other question?
Nothing.
Right. If there are no questions, thanks, guys, for joining. Have a very
No
good night.
questions.
Let's meet next time. Goodbye.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.